think that Andor's trying to teach us that anyone that potentially is going to get a happy ending is just going to die in this show? Like, live your life in misery just so that if you die from a haphazard blaster shot, it's not that big of a deal.
Listen, how is Bix going to die? Is Andor going to kill her on accident?
Everyone's going to die. Except for Mon Mothma and Andor.
Yeah.
Everyone's dying.
I know. And K2SO. Those are the only three. Oy. And Bail Organa. We'll talk about all of that on today's episode of Dad's Dagobah. Welcome, everyone, to the Dad's Dagobah. Had to pause for the intro there. We're coming to you live again Thursday night after having just watched 2 hours of Andor. And Sean?
More than that. Each episode like 57 minutes or something.
Yeah, they were long. And they were kind of boring. I said it. I said it. I'll stand by it.
I'll say to you this. As someone who loves Andor Season 1, and I think Andor Season 2 has been great as well, the hype has been so high for it that as I was watching episodes 4, 5, and 6, 3 BBY, I kept asking myself, is this slow? Or do I just have my expectations too high? But I felt like, especially the episode 4, after it was over, I said to my wife, I'm like, it wasn't that it was bad. Like, the quality is clearly still good, but it felt a little bit like a big nothing burger. Where I'm like, okay.
I think, we've had these. This Andor show is all about these 3-episode arcs. We saw it in season 1. We're seeing it now in season 2. But each arc has a good payoff.
Yeah.
Has a heist, has a big mission, has something that has some stakes to it.
Yeah.
And of course, this 3-episode arc had a culminating event or 2 events, 3 events maybe. They just didn't seem as, I don't know about epic, but they didn't seem as important to the overall storyline. Like, one was the planned takeover of a ship with some barrels on it. Another one was removing a listening device. And the third one was, Andor's is like, I guess there's 4. Andor and Bix just kind of take care of, I guess their relationship is better and they're kind of in the groove of things. Theirs was less a mission, more a mission about their relationship. But then what's-his-face with Saw Gerrera, his was just kind of weird. So it just wasn't a big, flying out through the eye or wasn't escaping the prison. And, do you know what I'm saying? Do you agree with that?
100%. Yeah. I felt like I can sit back and appreciate what they are trying to do or the intent of what they were trying to accomplish with the episodes. I don't think they did it as well as the first 3 episodes of season 2. I thought the first 3 episodes of season 2 overall, for me, worked better and I was more into it and I felt more suspense and kind of tension from those. But I still felt like I did still feel the tension and felt like there were moments. And I agree with you. I think the payoff in episode 6, it was good. And so I think we have to treat these more as this is a, 2.5 hour movie every week that you're watching. And so episode 4 is the first third of a movie. And that's where a lot of the setup happens. And so it's going to be a lot of kind of slow establishing relationships and characters and kind of the overall plot, so that later on the last episode of the 3-episode arc, a lot of the resolution happens. But I don't know why I did not feel as connected or engaged with the Gorman Front
Yeah.
rebellion thing happening. I was like, okay. The thing that I felt most interested by was the commentary that I feel like the episodes were trying to make of basically Cassian feeling like it's too late. If you try to back this Gorman Front rebellion, it's just going to be a slaughter. They're going to get crushed. So he's like, don't do it. Whereas Luthen is like, I'm okay with that. Luthen's like, I'm okay with sacrificing these Gormans, who I don't know at all, if it gives us the optics of a wealthy, independent nation is rebelling. So
And the Empire, I mean, the Empire is hoping the Gormans overstep, and Luthen is hoping the Empire oversteps.
right. So that was interesting to me, of Luthen and Cassian kind of being at odds, and basically Luthen is so committed and all in on this that he's like, what's it to me if we sacrifice a planet full of people to help advance the cause and maybe gain some sympathizers and whatever, which is just an interesting commentary on, so what's the difference between that and the Empire or the Death Star or whatever it is? If you're willing to sacrifice, how many people are you willing to sacrifice to justify the cause that you're fighting for?
Because it seems like there's not a lot of sympathy right now in the Senate. There's not a lot of, everyone's kind of wringing their hands, maybe saying nice platitudes, but they're not doing anything about it, right?
Yeah. So I thought, that was interesting. I felt like the message, the moral of that arc was kind of interesting to me, but I'm sorry, I just didn't, I don't know why I was not as captivated by the whole Gorman storyline.
Well, I don't think this is the end of the Gorman storyline.
Right. No, I think you're right.
Yeah. There's going to be, I'm sure there's going to be more of it.
I also think that Cinta was like is it Cinta? I forget what the girl's name is.
The cousin or the girl who died?
The one that dies.
I think it is Cinta.
She obviously had a much larger role in season 1. And now in season 2, we saw her as the chauffeur that's going to assassinate Tay Kolma. And then haven't really seen her again until this episode 6 or whatever. And then she died. And I felt like when she died and when she was on screen and they were sharing their moment and, actually able to express their affection for each other, all that kind of stuff, I thought to myself, I don't really remember all of their moments from season 1 enough to make this feel like a payoff. It just feels like, okay, almost like a 1 episode arc of this quick romance that I know is wrong because I know they were building it up in season 1, but it's been so long since I watched that. And Cinta's been nowhere for basically the first 6 episodes of this season, halfway through, that all of a sudden they throw her in and we're supposed to be like, oh my gosh, like this is the star-crossed lovers. I was like, whatever. Okay, she's dead.
Yeah, I think we had 30 seconds of her in episode 3, and then let's talk about Bix and Andor storyline. That was interesting to me, especially the Bix storyline. She's trying to prove herself, and Luthen, I don't know if he doesn't trust her, but he knows, I don't know, she's not quite ready yet for the big leagues, I guess. I don't know why he's holding back.
I felt like it was opposite. I felt like the tension was kind of between Andor, Cassian, and Bix, because they're clearly now like they're in love. They're in this relationship and they have these sweet moments together of like, what you would expect from a happy couple, so to speak. But then the underlying tension is that Cassian is treating her like she's broken and like she's fragile. And I feel like she has either already started resenting it or is going to resent, like, why are you questioning whether or not I'm allowed to go on a mission or I'm whatever?
Walk around the park or go to the grocery store. Yeah,
Right.
that's a good point.
And so he's like, you're not ready, or he escalates immediately when he finds out Luthen was here and like talked to you without my permission. And I feel like that's going to come across as like, you are not in charge of who I talk to, or if I accept the mission, like I'm in this cause the same as you. Like, I don't work for you. You're not my boss type of thing. We're equals in a relationship. I think that's where the tension will be with them. But maybe they resolved that by at the end of episode 6, they go on the mission together and she, gets payback on her torturer. And I'm curious if that's does that resolve her PTSD that she was able to do that? Or is she going to find that doesn't resolve her PTSD?
It's a good point because it does seem like she was the lead on that final mission. And I can't remember, did he purposely not bring her to Gorman, or was it Luthen who told him not to bring her?
Luthen said he had to go alone.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I liked it. I like her. She seems, to be suffering, but trying to get through it. And I was a bit sad that the revenge kill was kind of short and sweet and over kind of quickly. I'm like, oh, darn. As weird as that sounds. Kind of wanted him to suffer more, but.
Because he blew up the building?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that I definitely am bracing myself that Bix has got to die. I mean, like, that's definitely happening in the show, right?
Yeah.
Like, I cannot imagine that she's going to make it out of this season alive. And so that's going to be definitely a big traumatic event for Cassian. But on the flip side, we have another relationship story arc happening with Dedra and Cyril, and which is just the most dysfunctional, cringy.
Hey, turn off the lights. But we only have an hour. Turn off the lights.
I don't even know what we're supposed to feel about it, because to be honest with you, there's a part of me that when they're on screen that I'm like, I desperately want them to like show each other affection and be normal. They like can't.
Empire.
They can't. It's like it's but they are. They're like weirdly committed and in a relationship, but also just so cold.
They're perfect for each other.
So cold and so procedural. I'm just like, oh my gosh. But
I was so impressed with Cyril. I was so impressed with how he was playing that part. He played that so perfectly. He's kind of been like this bumbling fool up until I feel like, I guess he still kind of is, but like these episodes, I was like, oh wow, he's competent and totally has the wool pulled over, them, and he's got them tricked, and he's, perfectly executing this mission, and he's tricking all of his subordinates in the office with him. So good on him, I guess.
Yeah, and I think the question for me with them moving forward is, so how does Dedra truly feel about him? Because now her superior is like basically telling her, you can't ever bring Cyril fully into the fold. So I feel like the superior is telling Dedra, like, you need to keep using him for our gain, the Empire's gain, basically. But it's like, how does Dedra feel about that?
Mm-hmm.
She clearly is like, hey, when you come back to Coruscant, you can't stay with me. Like, you can only come see me for an hour, and then we have to keep up the appearance that we aren't together anymore.
And she's got followers on him.
Yeah.
What do you think? What are they keeping from him? They're keeping from him the whole propaganda. No, they're keeping from him the
Krennic plot.
Yeah.
I think they're keeping from him the reason that they are targeting Gorman.
The Death Star. What's the material again?
It's some material underneath the planet's surface or whatever, some mineral or something. It's not Kyber, but it's something that clearly is going to be used for the Death Star.
That they'd have to strip off the planet. Yeah. Kind of akin to like Ilum?
Yeah.
Or Starkiller Base, you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Fun storyline though. I mean, him infiltrating the obviously very French revolutionary, not Les Mis. I think it's more World War II French Revolution sort of undergroundness. They said they brought in French actors to play the part. They're not speaking French, but I think it's based on French sounds. So they brought in French actors for it, which was pretty cool.
Like their native language sounds French and then it'll sound German. I'm like, what is this? Are they speaking a real language? Or are they speaking a made-up language? And is it just a mixture of both, or what is it?
They said in the behind the scenes, it is a French-based made-up language.
Okay.
So it's like if they took, it's like Pig Latin. It's English sounds, but it's a made-up language. It's similar to that. It's a French sounds, but made up.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Anyway, how interesting that Andor sniffs him out immediately. He's like, you guys don't know what you're doing. Oh, but we have a guy feeding us information. That's what they do. I love that.
I love that first scene where the daughter like approaches him before she's supposed to, like the day before in the cafe. And he's basically coaching her and mentoring her on like, you're doing this all wrong. Like you are totally amateur hour over here. And then in between, like whispering those things to her, he's like going back into character as Varian Sky or whatever. It was so funny. Where I think he truly just felt like, if I was him, I'd be like, it's like Davy Crockett going to the Alamo. You're like, except Davy Crockett stayed and died there. Cassian's like, I'm not backing this cause. We're gonna get crushed. Like they want to attack the Empire, not leave the scene of the crime, and then advertise that they did it. And he's like, no, thank you. I'll sit this one out. So when Luthen or whoever said, well, I have a contingency plan, and it was Mon Mothma's cousin going in, I really thought she was going to die. I'm like, oh, she's going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to show that if Cassian stayed, he would have died. But she didn't, and Cinta did. Or maybe she does die in the next, who knows? I think everyone's on the table to die. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. I like that too, that he went to the head boss guy in the designer gallery or whatever showroom and was basically telling them, no, like you're getting played, and this is not going to work out for you.
Why did Luthen still want to go through with it? Is it the whole idea of, I don't care what happens to this planet, I just want the Empire to overstep? And
I think that it's the specific mission that the Gorman front wants to do in terms of stealing that freighter and proving that they're building an armory and not something else. Luthen doesn't care about that at all. There's no strategic value to that. All of the value is in the optics of word getting out that the Gormans are rebelling, so that it's not like some backwater outer rim rinky-dink planet.
Gotcha. Yeah,
it's an established, wealthy, independent planet that's like, we're not standing for this. The Empire is overstepping and we're fighting back. I think he wants that to be, to use Poe's words, the spark that ignites, the rebellion.
And he also knows that the Empire is heavily focused on Gorman. He doesn't know why.
Yes.
Right? Because the redheaded rebel spy or Imperial spy tells him something's on Gorman. They're focusing on Gorman. I don't know why. He's like, tell me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a great point too. And I think that goes back into one of the storylines we haven't really covered yet, which is the Mon Mothma storyline, where most of this episode is her trying to work the political angle and be a diplomat and secure votes to stop the imperial overreach, and just failing miserably at it.
Yeah.
Like even the representative from, is it Gorman or what's the name of the planet? I don't know.
Yeah.
The from Gorman is like, now I can't go against the emperor. Like, we're already vulnerable right now as it is. Like, I don't want to make things worse, which is just like, we know as the audience, like, it doesn't matter if you could do everything he tells you to do, and he's going to sacrifice your planet for his Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're laying down and rolling over thinking that that's going to help you, but it's not. Like, if you don't fight right now, then you've already lost, which is what Mon Mothma is trying to get them to see, but they don't have the perspective to be able to understand what's going on.
Yeah, they're just so afraid of him. They're so afraid of the Emperor and what he can do, and getting on the wrong side of him, and then taking that oath. And it's just akin to Jar Jar giving him emergency power. And this is how democracy dies.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's just a playbook on the rise of fascism, of people too afraid to resist or too afraid to dissent. Through legal means. I mean, there's nothing illegal. It's not treasonous to vote against a bill or to introduce legislation to, limit government's power. And instead, these people are like, oh, we can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
We're afraid. We're afraid of the retribution if we do that.
Yeah. What's another storyline we haven't talked about yet? Oh, we have the. Should we talk about Saw Gerrera and that?
Oh yeah.
I was a bit confused by it.
Totally confused. Oh, totally confused.
I was like, is this a weapon? Is this what is this thing? They're so going after Rhydonium, and I'm like, and then they're like, are they exploding it? What are they? Oh, they're siphoning it. I don't understand the complication of. Okay, well, oh, now he likes it. He sniffs it in. Huh. Okay.
And now the kid is sniffing it in, and it's like, does it? So it kills you eventually, but it gives you a high. Like, what's the benefit of it? And so it's like, oh, we're all gonna die anyway, so might as well just poison ourselves. I just did not. I felt like they wanted that when it was just Saw and Matt or whatever the guy's name is. I forget his name. I can't remember the names. But when it's just them at the end and they're siphoning it off or whatever, I feel like Saw's speech, they wanted it to be like Luthen's speech from season 1. But I was like not following it. I'm like, is this supposed to be inspirational? Like, I don't, this guy just seems crazy.
Yeah, my sister.
Just sniffing paint over here. And it's like, what?
I saw an interesting theory that they think, eventually it takes that what he's breathing in Rogue One is probably these fumes. That his body just is in constant need of it now. And that's what he's, it's like huff and paint or whatever, right? He's just, that's what he's doing now.
Yeah.
To get a little hit here and there.
Yeah. So, obviously we've known this.
He's crazy.
We've known it forever that he is the far extreme radical of the rebellion.
Yeah.
Whereas Mon Mothma is like over here, like horrified that they might, assassinate her childhood friend. Saw Gerrera is just shooting people in the face in broad daylight with people walking around. Like, he was a traitor. Yeah, I've decided he was a traitor. Like, what the freak?
Did you recognize the planet they were on? Dakar?
Yeah. Dakar. They just have to tie in that sequel trilogy.
Yeah, they sure do. I don't know if there's much else to talk about there. I'm sure we're gonna get. I'm sure there's gonna be more Saw, because they keep just kind of teasing him to us, and I'm like, what's he gonna do? Is he? I don't know. Anyway, How is he going to fit into this? Because I feel like there's very much a Gorman story, and then there's Saw, and like, how is he going to fit into this?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, and look, I mean, in Rogue One, by Rogue One, the rebellion has coalesced, but Saw still is not a part of it.
His Saw and his fanatics, or whatever they call them.
Yeah, they're on Jeddah, hanging out on Jeddah, while the rest of the rebellion's on Yavin. So I don't know that he'll ever truly come together with our main cast of characters to help on something. Maybe he will. Maybe he decides to do it, and then there's a falling out, which is why he's on Jeddah at the start of Rogue One. But
right.
But yeah, anyway, I thought the Saw stuff was fine. It was, but I wasn't following it as much as the other parts. I was like, what's the purpose here? What am I trying to? What are you trying to teach me here? But anyway,
I think the final part we haven't talked about yet is the ball, the
art exhibition.
Yeah, at the gangster's house. They listen into the radio. I guess she gets on every morning and listens to the various listening devices she has around Coruscant. And she hears that one of the arts is a fraud. It doesn't seem like it's one of Luthen's, but because one is a fraud, he wants all the rest of the art reevaluated. So they know that their listening device will be found, and they need to go to the party and take it out. I mean, it was a cool scene. I loved the verbal sparring between Krennic and Mothma. I thought that was so cool. Obviously, they know what each other's doing. He knows that she's totally against the Empire. He doesn't know that she's leading a rebellion. He might have his suspicions. He might have intelligence that tells him, we don't know, but she's up to no good. And she obviously knows. I would assume she knows something's happening. Some big project's happening,
Right.
And then what does he say? He says something about terrorists and revolutionaries or something, right? What does he say?
Yeah, I think he uses the term rebels, but it's like, oh yeah, one man's terrorist is another man's rebel, or I don't remember what he says, but it's something to that effect. He's basically calling out, like, hey, you can call it whatever you want, but it's terrorism.
My rebel is your terrorist.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I think he's mocking Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, in the first 3-episode arc and this 3-episode arc, I feel like I feel the most tension during the Mon Mothma scenes. I felt way more tense in that art room than I felt on Gorman doing the
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I felt just way more tension and suspense because I think, again, back to what we've said 15 times now, I think that a lot more people are going to die. And I could see part of this whole show and the message of rebellion being same with the death of Cinta. The whole speech about she was a warrior. She was like everything that you dreamed of in terms of a revolutionary and like a warrior to fight for a cause. And she went out with friendly fire, like a completely unheroic mistake, random happenstance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that could be how Luthen goes out. That it's like his own speech to Clara or whatever her name is about, like, we're drowning. We can't keep track of all the listening devices that we put everywhere. And like all the information coming in, there's too much information coming in that we can't even sort through it anymore, or can't even organize what our efforts need to be because there's too much. And it might be something stupid like this, or it's like, oh, we found a listening device on Luthen's artwork that he placed in my storefront. And what would have stopped Krennic from pulling out a blaster and just shooting Luthen? Like, all right, he's a traitor. Like, it could be something crazy like that, where it's not heroic. It's just a dumb little mistake that happened that they can't keep track of.
Dude, don't bum me out like that, man.
Yeah. So I felt a lot of tension there because I'm like, one, I don't feel like anyone is safe in the show. So at any given time, you might think to yourself like, oh, she'll remove the listening device. So I'm like, maybe she won't. And I kept thinking in my head, is she gonna pivot and like blame the redheaded guy? Or is Luthen gonna pivot and blame Clara to save his own skin? I was thinking all these crazy scenarios of they're gonna get caught and who's taking the fall for it.
Yeah, so far it's just been minor characters meeting their demise, you know?
Yeah. But like, how ruthless will Luthen go if he's found out? Will he sacrifice his right-hand woman? Will they sacrifice the ISB agent? Like, what? How is this going to work? Who's going to take the fall for these mistakes that are made?
I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like where we're going with this.
That's where
He's forced to use the weapons of his enemies.
I think that's where the show is going. Like the walls are going to close in.
Yeah.
But I mean, back to the first 3 episode arc where the wheat farmer guy is like, can't you tell Luthen, can't you tell your boss that what's happening here? He needs to know. And the guy's like, it's happening everywhere. Like, it's not unique here. It's not like I'm going to tell him. And he's like, what? That's happening there? We'll come save you. Because it's happening on every planet. The walls are closing in. The Empire is tightening its grip. And it's just, how do you fight against it?
Dude.
So anyway, but
luckily, Bail Organa shows up here in this scene.
Luckily, there are Luke Skywalker is hanging out right now as a young boy
getting
on Tatooine.
Going to Tashi Station with his buddies.
Yes. Hanging out there with Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. And and
Ahsoka's around, and Cal Kestis is around, and who else is still out there, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi's probably going on mission still.
They need to bring Cal Kestis into live action.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, Bail Organa does show up.
What do you think about the recast? Didn't bother me. At first I was like, oh dang, I like Jimmy Smits, but I'm like, all right.
At first I kind of racked my brain like, oh yeah, did they need to recast because this is a different timeline? Then I realized, no, Jimmy Smits was Bail Organa in episode 3 and then also in Rogue One. So this is between those 2 things. So it should just be him again. I read a little article that said they just, with the scheduling, they couldn't make it happen.
Yeah.
I don't think it did not take anything away from me. It clearly was a minor throwaway line. Well, we'll see if he plays a bigger part in future episodes.
Tony Gilroy says this was the rip off the Band-Aid so that then he can have a bigger role in future episodes.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That's kind of the impression he gave.
Yeah. I also thought it was interesting when Luthen was leaving the party and he's like, we should have just killed Krennic when we were up there.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, how much does he know about Krennic and what Krennic is up to? Or does he just not like Krennic?
Yeah.
Because I feel like if he knew what he was up to, he maybe would kill Krennic.
Oh, can you imagine? Anyway.
I want to see a Galen Erso cameo is what I want to see.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Anyway, we don't need that though. The show can stand on its own without little cameos, I feel like, right?
Except Yoda. We definitely want Yoda.
That did a whole lot of good for
the Acolyte.
Oh, brother. Will we ever find out who that guy was? Anyway. Still a good show. But if this was a movie at the movie theater, I would have walked out a little bit disappointed.
And again, I'll go back to the Rotten Tomato things that a lot of those reviews said that a couple that mentioned specific episodes.
Oh, yeah, what'd they say?
Episode 6 and on, it really ramps up. But I didn't feel like episode 6 was that big of a ramp up.
Yeah, where was the ramp?
So, but anyway, I think that we're halfway through the season. It has been very good. it's I'm not complaining about the season
I know.
we're getting
It's
compared
still
to all
fantastic.
the other Star Wars flops that we've gotten. Like,
Yeah.
this has been fantastic. But I am excited to see them take it up a notch in the second half of the season.
Yeah. Okay. Good. We'll see you guys in another week. 3 more episodes. A year will pass again, and then we'll go to, what are we at? 2 BBY now next.
BBY.
BBY, of course, being before the Battle of Yavin.
So do we think in the next 3 arcs we're getting K2SO, or is it the last arc?
I don't know. I think he shows up next year.
He needs to. He's
Yeah.
too dynamic to waste.
Yeah, he's too fun of a character.
Yeah. Okay.
But, let us know what you thought of this 3-episode arc. Did you like it? Or did you think that you're going to stop watching Andor because of how bad it was and not finish the season?
How many tears did you shed when Cinta died? More or less than the punk that actually killed her. I wanted the cousin, Mon Mothma's cousin, to just kill that guy.
There. That's what you get.
You're the punk that wouldn't listen to orders.
Not to bring a gun.
So stupid.
Yep.
Anyway. All right. Well, we're looking forward to the rest of the season. Let us know in the comments below what your takeaways were. And Joseph, until next time, we have spoken.
And this is the way.
We got to get back to the back to big.
Back to the back to.
See you next time.